She-Hulk episode 6 opens with Jen getting an invite to be a bridesmaid. Since Jennifer complains constantly in every episode, I want to run a timer to see how far we can get before she moans about something.
Oh goody.
Sarcastically saying "oh goody" at a wedding invitation counts as complaining. It took her 24 seconds to start moaning. I'm impressed with how quick that was.
And then we start the moaning.
How did you pick up that card without the confetti falling out? Oh, you just added the confetti in this shot. Okay.
Look at the dress that Luke made me for the rehearsal dinner. What?
Never mind that, we still haven't seen the suit you were made last episode.
I want to see the super suit that he made you. Why? I'm never gonna wear it.
Why did you buy it if you're never going to wear it? That rehearsal dinner dress just looks like a normal dress. I don't understand their excitement. Why would an exclusive superhero costume designer make such a pedestrian dress like that?
So you're gonna look hot. As Shulky? Yes, that is a reason to go to the wedding.
Yes, it's actually the reason I'm really excited to go.
Oh, she's just going to the wedding for an ego boost. I can't fault the writing here, they've made her consistently self-centered in every episode. Good work, Jessica.
Lulu's an old friend from high school. Well, we just gradually grew apart and we don't talk anymore.
Yes, as you developed into the horrible narcissistic monster you are today, you grew apart. That makes sense. She-Hulk doesn't want to go, but for some reason she feels obligated to be a bridesmaid, even though she hasn't seen this person in years.
How do you say no to being a bridesmaid?
You just say no.
Why does the show insist Jennifer is this great lawyer, yet she rolls over whenever someone asks her a direct question?
You rolled over so
quickly.
Lawyers argue with people for a living, yet she can't even have a mild disagreement with anyone.
Yes, it's a self-contained wedding episode.
What do you mean self-contained? These episodes barely have any connective tissue at all. Jen decides to put her unhinged narcissism on full display by going to the wedding as She-Hulk. Why the hell would she go to the wedding as She-Hulk? You'd draw so much attention away from the people getting married. I understand she's going as She-Hulk because she's self-centered and wants the attention. But what I mean is, why would anyone in their right mind go as She-Hulk to a wedding and think it's an acceptable thing to do? Upstaging the bride and groom is something that's frowned upon, although Jen doesn't actually have any self-awareness at all.
Yeah, girl, your ass looks crazy right now.
How can you even tell? You can't even see it from where you're standing. Or were you talking about a face? Does that count as catcalling? Lulu takes She-Hulk aside and complains all of the attention is being taken away from her. Which is a good point. I mean, this is worse than when people propose at someone else's wedding.
No one's gonna be looking at me.
I can't tell if She-Hulk is deliberately lying or if the writers forgot her motivation for attending the wedding is that she wanted to look hot. So of course she wants people to look at her.
So you're gonna look hot.
It's actually the reason I'm really excited to go.
Character consistency? What's that? The bad writing has now flooded into all aspects of the show. The characters so often say inconsistent or contradictory things that it's now impossible to discern the writer's intentions. Are the writers trying to suggest a character is lying and has an ulterior motive, or is this yet another dialogue error like all of the others?
I don't want you to be all hulky at my wedding. Promise?
I promise, I will just show up as regular Jen at your wedding.
The lie detector test determined that was a lie.
Yeah, obviously this is the one time I didn't want to show up as just Jen.
I don't see why not. It's not your looks that are the problem, it's your personality.
So everyone's coupled up. Do I not have a groomsman?
You're gonna be walking with Jonathan. He's gonna be at the ceremony tomorrow. Oh my God, Jonathan, I love him. Jonathan is literally the best.
I hope all these lines of dialogue are setting up a good payoff. Spoilers, they're not. So back at the law firm, a guy calling himself Mr. Immortal wants help with his numerous divorces. It turns out, instead of initiating a divorce, he fakes his own death. Still not as bad as what Jen did in episode 4. For some reason, Jen's friend gets to sit in on this consultation with Mr. Immortal, and she keeps interjecting with judgmental comments. She goes on and on, even while the lawyer tries to sort out the details of the case. I don't know why the lawyer doesn't kick Jen's friend out. In the previous episode, they established her to be quite strict. Character consistency, what's that? It's not a good idea to go around breaking stuff in a lawyer's office, but knowing this show, they won't do anything about it. I can't blame him for jumping out of the window, although it would have been better to put in a complaint about the lack of professionalism at this prestigious law firm. Not only would they probably be fired and removed from the show, hooray! But there's a chance you might get a decent lawyer as a replacement.
How are you? What have you been up to? What's going on?
Jen immediately starts a spiel on how great she is.
Actually, I'm the head of a new department. I now have superpowers.
If you haven't spoken to her in years, you might want to try a more neutral approach. Say a little thing about yourself and then throw the question back. It's called a conversation. But she just can't resist bragging about herself. And nothing she said was an achievement she earned. She didn't earn becoming She-Hulk, it was an accident, and the law firm only hired her because she's green.
Like, are you dating a guy? A boy? Is there a boy in your life?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. I'm sorry, you'll find someone. Don't feel bad.
Oh, I don't feel bad.
I can't tell if this is inconsistent writing or if She-Hulk is lying. We had an entire episode dedicated to her feeling bad about it, so you would think she's lying, but she also said she couldn't get a hangover.
I do admit, though, there are parts of it that I enjoy.
Okay, you're not done.
Like the amazing hair, no hangover. Ugh, Bruce, you failed to mention that I'd still have to deal with a Hulk-sized hangover.
I'll have to put it in the binder.
Come on, Jessica, you can write better than this. I feel like I'm being punished for paying attention. But then Titania walks in.
I love that you never make any effort at all.
The thing is, you just can't argue with that. This is meant to be the dress made by the superhero costume designer. It's meant to fit her in She-Hulk and Jen form, but it's hanging off her like it's made out of a duvet cover or something.
No, she has weaseled her way into this wedding to mess with me. That is so obvious. Why does nobody else see that?
Me.
See? Not everything is about you, Jennifer.
She's really not happy you said that. But I am. Jen sits down and starts stress eating. Do you remember when shows had stakes? When characters had goals? No, me neither. It's been so long.
Sorry, I know this is a little weird.
It only gets weird when you call it weird, my man.
I still haven't perfected the least awkward way to approach a stranger.
You could always start with hello.
And see, my plan was to strike up a very normal conversation with a beautiful woman stuffing her face with candied nuts.
Well, better luck next time. For some reason, that's enough to win Jen over. It's weird how his introduction lacked any semblance of confidence, but he's brazen enough to give her that line. Character consistency, what's that? And then we're back to Mr. Immortal.
My friend sent me a link to a video posted on that site, Intelligentsia.
The one for hateful man babies?
Yep, that's the one.
Such professionalism from this lawyer. I know this is the writers poking fun at some of the fans that complain about the show, but it comes off as a little defensive. It's like they know the quality of the show can't stand up on its own, so they insult the people watching it. I'm not saying this is a prime example of that, but so far this show has had heaps of snide little comments at the audience in an attempt to preemptively defend it from criticism. Methinks the lady doth protest too much. You shouldn't be insulting the fans, Jessica. People only do that when they've lost the argument.
You saw this man walk into a busy intersection, and then he gets hit by like 4 different cars. His body regenerates, and then he just gets up and walks away.
Surely killing himself wouldn't work if he immediately regenerates and walks off. How could any of his spouses believe he was dead? Cyanide pills? Check for a pulse. Oh, he's fine. It feels almost like the writers haven't thought this through. Probably because the writers haven't thought this through.
Frankly, all of these spouses should be filing criminal charges. You are lucky you're not in prison.
Shouldn't these crimes be reported or something if they're that serious? Also, did Mr. Immortal get in trouble for destroying that car?
No!
I will get you the best possible deal under the circumstances. Don't touch me. But let me tell you this. You're gonna have to pay.
How is that the best possible deal? At this point, I couldn't help but think the lawyer suddenly switched sides. She's pulling the old double cross, and he's going to get his ex-partners a whole bunch of money. The bridesmaids saddle Jem with ironing duty, and she accepts it because she's so pathetic. I don't understand what's meant to be happening with her character. She's standing up for herself less than when the show first started. She's actually losing confidence. We never see her doing the ironing, so I'm not sure if she did it or not. And either way, we don't see what effect that has on the wedding, so it's all entirely pointless. And it turns out her assigned groomsman, Jonathan, is a little dog.
He's so brave. We just had to resuscitate him this morning.
I'm sorry, resuscitate him? What, when he was told he was going to be partnered with Jen, he just couldn't bear to live anymore?
Hit me with a heavy pour, buddy. Well, what else am I gonna do for the next 4 hours?
What else do you ever do when you're not at work? All you do is drink. So Mr. Immortal has to pay his ex-wives and his ex-husband.
And remember, everyone, what's our mantra? Never again. Yes.
I'm getting the feeling this episode is very anti-marriage and pro-divorce. Just a feeling.
Miss Ramos. Unconventional and excellent.
Well, she didn't do her best for the client, but never mind about that. When the wives all start celebrating, you can even hear one of them singing about getting her money.
Right? Getting my money. Getting my money.
Well done, Jessica, fighting against those female stereotypes.
Oh, I don't actually hate love.
Oh.
I just wanted to come to one wedding.
Did you hear that music swell? That means She-Hulk's about to either talk about herself or complain about something.
So I'm actually doing really so good. And I have a great job lawyering the law.
Because the writing of this show has been so bad in the past, I'm unsure what the writers are trying to tell me. Are they saying she's in denial and she's not doing well? Or is she just drunk and saying she's doing great? I can't tell what the writers are trying to communicate to me. What are you trying to say, Jessica?
I'm so confused.
I don't know. I think you're pretty great.
That's because you've barely had one conversation with her. Let her talk for a bit more and you'll find out. She-Hulk then throws up. That is the worst fake sick I've ever seen. Why would you film her from that angle? You can see there's no vomit. It'd be all over her dress. Or maybe it is over her dress. It's so ugly it's hard to tell. Titania then punches Jen in the face.
Fantastic!
For some reason this doesn't make Jen turn into She-Hulk. I thought that's how it worked. But no, she was hit with enough force to lift her into the air and send her flying back several feet, and she remained in human form. She should be dead. What's Jen going to do now? If only there was a competent lawyer around to sue this mega rich, superpowered woman for assaulting an innocent bystander. Oh no, Jen's forgot how to become She-Hulk. But I thought she was an expert at this. That's what the first episode said. She-Hulk then hits Titania into the crowd of partygoers. Do you remember when superheroes actually cared about saving people? She-Hulk doesn't care she could have injured all of these guests. I wonder if it's ever going to get brought up that someone has to pay for the damage she caused to the floor. For some reason She-Hulk is getting beaten up despite her completely and easily demolishing Titania in the first episode. I don't know why She-Hulk doesn't use her thunderclap. No, not that one. She-Hulk then hits Titania into a waiter and injures him. Titania then slips over on some ice and defeats herself. For some reason this damages Titania's teeth, but the punch from She-Hulk didn't. Titania then slaps someone's phone out of the hand and pushes over the waiter, and She-Hulk does nothing. Being a hero and helping people, what's that? Then Lulu walks in. Lulu is really happy She-Hulk is here, despite her being unhappy about it earlier. I don't understand what this is meant to show us. Is it meant to be that she's too drunk to care She-Hulk broke a promise? Or was she secretly jealous earlier and now she's drunk, she's happy that She-Hulk is here? Or does she have brain damage? I know the writers have.
I just don't understand why anyone that afraid of conflict keeps getting married.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that is a weird view on marriage.
I have been married a long time.
You're married?
11 years this October.
So this lawyer's been married 11 years, yet she doesn't wear a wedding ring.
Suspicious.
She was also referred to as Miss and not Mrs. in the previous episode. Hey, Jessica, can you spell continuity? So Jen's friend tries to click on a side article on this website, but it requires an account for some reason. They so desperately want to see this article that they create an account. And I don't mean just a username and password. She even went the extra mile and wrote a full-on essay for the biography section.
She was so gross. She was 30. Ew. Okay. I just copy and pasted what a bunch of guys have actually said to me on the internet.
No, you didn't. You clearly typed it out. We just saw you. That's not what copy and paste means. But they finally get through to see memes. Bad, unfunny memes. And none of these memes have anything to do with the article they clicked on to view.
Nikki, they're just trolls. Any attention at all gives them what they want.
The show's just teleported us to the writer's room again. Why would you take any of this seriously? I like the way death threats have been casually mixed in with some of the real-life criticisms of the show. This is because they want you to equate criticising the show with death threats. That's how dumb this show thinks you are.
Perfect.
The lawyer tells Jen's friend they shouldn't tell She-Hulk about it because it would just stress her out, and she agrees, but then immediately goes back on her word.
It's called Intelligentsia, and it's all of these like memes and death threats.
Memes? Oh no, not the memes! Why would you say memes and death threats? Why would you care about the memes? Again, this is the writers trying to equate memes criticising She-Hulk with death threats. You know, Jessica, if you just wrote a good show, you wouldn't have to be so defensive about it. I've heard people say, of course I won't like the show, it's not made for me. Would you still say that if I liked the show? Would you say it doesn't matter that I like the show because I'm not the target audience? Liking or not liking something is subjective and has nothing to do with if the show has errors. It's the writing issues that make this show bad, the contradictions, inconsistencies, and poor character writing. These are facts that do not change irrespective of if you enjoy the show or not. And you shouldn't be insulting the viewers just because your writing is bad, Jessica. We see Jennifer being monitored. I don't know how they got these blood levels, her heart rate, and all this medical information on Jen. I'm sure that's going to be explained in a future episode. I trust you, Jessica. Since the last attempt to take a blood sample from Jen failed, they've created a bigger needle. So they're just going to try and do the same thing they've already failed at doing. And since we don't know why they're doing it in the first place, there's very little concern about what might happen if they succeed. From the audience's perspective, this doesn't give us any information that we don't already know. Wow, what a cliffhanger. I think this episode was even worse than the last. Nothing happened in the main plot apart from Jen meeting this guy. Since every single male character has been shown in a negative light, either through malice or stupidity, I'm expecting this guy to turn out to be a bad guy too. But since this is a self-contained wedding episode, he shouldn't show up again, right? The subplot with Mr. Immortal had nothing to do with anything and was a complete waste of time. The biggest revelation was that there's a website with some memes on them. This show is so bad. I think I'm just gonna go and take a walk to clear my head.
After any of the ends are switching identity.